This is a book review by me, Michele Wu of Traveling Reads. I recently finished the book The King of Diamonds by Rena Pederson. This book is about a well-known Texas jewel thief in the Dallas area during the 1950s and 60s. This thief was never caught, but Miss Pederson was determined to uncover the truth more than 5 decades later. This book is a historical nonfiction filled with investigative journalism and mystery surrounding the case of this jewel thief. It covers almost a decade of jewel theft, introducing the reader to both victims and suspects and giving each of their backstories. It also dives into the dark underground world of gambling, alcoholism, mafia, and politics in Dallas during the 1950s and 60s. I was not surprised to see LBJ's name mentioned, but also former governor of Texas, John Connolly, and former FBI director, J. Edgar Hoover, and the original owners of the Dallas Cowboys. This book shares a whole host of names that honestly did have me lost a little bit while reading. Regardless, I thoroughly appreciate Miss Pederson's in-depth investigative journalism and her determination to figure out who this jewel thief was. Miss Pederson interviewed so many people, from former police officers and detectives who were on this case in the 50s and 60s, to former victims, to family members of victims, to family members of suspects, and even visited establishments that had ties to mafia bosses. This book is definitely worth reading. Go in with the mindset that you are reading an investigative journalism piece filled and rich with history. Usually I do a book and travel review. However, I have not been able to visit Dallas since reading this book. I do have some recommendations for where I'd like to visit and where you could visit if you're going to the Dallas area. My first recommendation would be the AT&T Stadium, home of the Dallas Cowboys in Arlington, Texas, just outside of Dallas. This stadium, if you have not seen it, is quite a sight. Now, the Cowboys are talked about in The King of Diamonds, so seeing the stadium will add even more of a unique visit. I have been to this stadium, and my word, from the floor level suites to the Jumbotron that's almost the length of the field, it shows the money that is in Dallas. Non-sports related visits that I would recommend are the George W. Bush Presidential Library Center on the campus of SMU. Now, SMU itself and people who attended SMU were talked about in The King of Diamonds. The Bushes were not. It's worth a visit though. Also, the Grassy Knoll and the Sixth Floor Museum in downtown Dallas will give you the history and coverage of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. I have not visited the museum. I have seen the Grassy Knoll. But this time where President Kennedy was assassinated is covered in The King of Diamonds. So, happy traveling and reading. Until the next adventure.